Welcome to another episode of the Chamber South Spotlight. This show is about our members and for our members to get the spotlight. I'm your host today, Alexander Noda from Amaran Bank, and I'm super excited to have another great conversation with one of our members, Mario from Fuego Productions.
What up?
What's going on, brother?
Thank you so much for having us.
Whoa.
Having me, actually.
Of course, man. It's my pleasure. Thank you for being here in the show. Thank you for being a valued member for the Chamber.
No, super excited. It's actually very honored to be part of, obviously, something very exclusive or very, exciting to be with Chamber South. So I'm excited to be part of this community now that we are. So
love to have you, man. Listen, to get to the meat of the bone, tell me about Fuego. How did it come to be? Background and evolution. What brought you here?
I'm gonna take you guys into like a time capsule. So
love it.
Obviously, Fuego comes from DJ Fuego. So I'm actually a DJ. I started DJing back in 2009 in high school. Yeah, and actually, and this goes way before that. Family parties. Parties in the backyard and all that stuff. I'll see kind of like a guy just playing music, and you're like, man, I want to be that guy, because for you to be the DJ at a party, it's almost like you're controlling people. You're able to control the vibe and the music. So I met a friend of mine named Luis Padilla back in high school, and his dad was a DJ back in his country. And when I saw him doing that, I was like, oh my God, like, you got to teach me how to DJ. And I'm like, okay. He took me under his wing. We started DJing like the high school houses, parties, all ages, clubs, all that fun stuff. And I loved it. And I was like, man, like, this is so cool. But then it outgrew me, going to the clubs and people smoking, drinking. That wasn't more my vibe. So I got into like the more the family, the more private events. And that kind of took off. They're like, oh my God, I can be doing this. Like, I can be DJing at, private events and stuff. And then at that time, hey, you're making $50 an hour as a young 18, 19-year-old person. Who gets paid $50 an hour?
No.
No one.
Especially, a couple of years ago.
Yeah, exactly. It's very important. Very important at this. And then, long story short, I did my first quinceañera.
Okay.
And when I did my first quinceañera, I was 19, 20 at the time. And the client's like, hey, do you offer lighting? And I'm like, yeah, you fake it till you make it. And I'm like, hey, do you offer this? I'm like, yeah. And I had none of this stuff. I was just a DJ with some speakers and a turntable. And I started calling friends. I caught her like doing my research. Like, the reason why she wanted some lighting is because it was her quinces. It was at a clubhouse.
Okay.
And she was like, oh, like, how can we make this nicer? And I'm like, oh yeah, some lighting, and some obviously like special effects, and then maybe some club lighting, like some movers. If you've ever been to like bongos or nocturnal or anything, I'm just talking about like back in my days. That's actually pretty old space. Everyone knows.
You just revealed your age here, brother.
There are like the cool moving lights to make it, obviously the vibe or the experience. And I'm like, yes, I have all this. And then she's like, oh, how much can you charge me for this? I'm like, oh, I'm like $600 plus the $400 of DJing. So at the end of the night, she gives me the check. She's like, oh, you're amazing. Here's $1,000. And I'm like,
wow.
I made $1,000 in one night. And at that time, Luis Padilla, my best friend, I call him Miko. That's his real name. I go, we just made $1,000 in one night, being almost 20 years old. Like, who does that? And that's when obviously our company, Fuego Production, kind of took off. And they're like, wow, like, we can be doing this every night, making $1,000.
That's amazing.
So that's how Fuego Production and obviously our company kind of created. Came from DJ services to obviously offering more of a la carte, like lighting, special effects, photo booth, let's say, for example.
Wow.
Back in the days. Now we offer a lot more stuff, but we can get to the other questions that we have.
That's cool. So cool, man. That's a great story. I always love stories like that, because what most people fail to share is that sometimes you just fall into what you want to do, and then you become successful simply because you're facilitating what your customers are requesting from you.
Correct.
And then you keep adding more services as time progresses, and eventually you build a massive business.
100%. And I've always wanted to like, hey, what more can I do? What more? I'm always more of a go-getter. Like, what more can I provide, especially to my clients or to the service or to the community, especially in Miami. Not every DJ can do every event.
Right.
And that's very
it's impossible.
But whenever this client, you always try to give her 100% or always try to give her an experience. So my philosophy obviously it's not just an event, it's an experience that you're creating to the client. And that's always very important because, obviously these big corporate events, one big example, Publix. What is Publix line? Or shopping is a pleasure.
Yeah.
So those are things that I'm always, and that can be one of the other questions
Yeah.
we can bring up. But that's always my model, how to always push the envelope and how to push the bar.
No, and I think it's a perfect segue because I know that we have a question in here about the fact that in Miami, being Miami, the capital party in the U.S., there's many companies, right? And many of them are very talented. From your perspective, right? What makes your company Fuego stands out outside of that name? And that name is Fuego.
Yeah.
How do you make it stand out from a competitive landscape?
For me, it's just creativity.
Okay.
And what I like about creativity is that most of the days a client comes with a vision. And
right.
This vision is very important because it's something that they've dreamed about. Let's continue with the quinceañera. The mom comes, obviously she has a vision for this, obviously extravagant moment of her life for her daughter.
Yes.
And then this vision can be anything from, let's say, for example, I want it to look very like New York, or they want it to look very luxury, or, very like, they always like to use more of like, the brands of like Gucci or very Louis Vuitton. They want it to like,
very Miami,
right? So with the lighting and all the stuff that we offer, we're able to bring that to life.
Got it.
And why is that very important to us? Because at the end of the day, if we don't bring that client's vision to life, then I fail as a company owner. So she'll come and they're like, hey, listen, I want it. Like, for example, big thing that they're doing now is like kind of like the merchandise, like, for example, the bar mitzvah, the bat mitzvah, they're doing a lot of merch. So we're doing a lot of more merch shops. So these merch shops is when the kids come in, we create like a whole store for them. That it's actually like their logo, their brand, their name, their theme, their font, their color. So then obviously we'll get all that information from the client and we'll create something exclusive or personalized for the client or
very cool.
Or for the birthday person or birthday girl, whoever it is. So we've been doing a lot of customization, a lot of build outs, activations. That's been one of the cool things. Keep going into that. We're working a lot with high brands, like for example, Johnny Walker. Johnny Walker will come to us like, hey, we're doing a merch shop or merch store. Like, can you do this? We can print it, build it. So we do a lot of, let's say, printing and branding now. We're doing a lot of fabrications. And now it's something that we went from just DJing and lighting into more of the fabrication. Like, for example, Don Julio. Don Julio is, obviously one of our customers as well. There's a lot of other companies that work that I can't talk about because in the NDA stuff but Art Basel. Art Basel is one of the
and for me, right, for my personal understanding of what that means, when you say fabrication, what do you mean? Plastering their logo on a wall, on the floor?
So let's talk about the walls. Like when I came in, I saw them like, oh wow, this is so cool, because obviously people see this and it's like, hey, this is fake or green screen. This is real. So why we do this is because, for example, we have a client called the Cultivist, and this Cultivist has a vision for Art Basel. So they come like, hey, we want to make this very Saudi Arabia, or we want to make this year is more old Hollywood. So our job is to, obviously, when you come into a room, is for you to have the experience of the immerse that you're, let's say for this, like, hey, we are maybe in Miami Beach. We might be, obviously in Kendall or Coral Gables, but it looks like we're actually behind. So we try to bring that client's vision more to life. And how do we do that? Obviously by printing, branding, fabricating. We just did, like, for example, another one that I can always talk about is we did an Alice in Wonderland theme. So, and it's, you can see it on our Instagram. So the client came to us like, hey, listen, we're going to transform this venue into, like, if you're going into a rabbit hole. I'm like, say less. Say less. And what we brought, it was just something, like, it was just jaw dropping. So
cool.
People were, the first thing they got out of their cars, they walked into what's called a keyhole. And then anyone does a regular keyhole with some grass and like some frames, are like, no. I'm going to make it into a mirror acrylic. So it kind of reflects and it's really taking to a rabbit hole. And then we did like an LED strip, and this was massive. This was like almost 8 feet tall by 12 feet wide keyhole
Wow.
that people were able to walk in. And right after they walk in, there was a step and repeat because there was a lot of like sponsors and vendors that were trying to communicate together. And I'm like, okay, hey, what would be the next step creating that Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole? I'm going to make a backdrop. It was 24 feet wide by 8 feet wide with all the company logos, like as a heart or as like a diamond, keyholes. And then in the middle was actually the sponsor or the logo, the person that was
Putting up the event.
Exact. So
Very cool.
things like that. And then the venue, so it was everything. It was more of an activation, more of an experience that you're going from room to room. And then the last room we did, the room was massive. This is the venue called the Glass Venue. It's in here in like in the Westchester, Kendall area. And the venue alone was almost 80 feet wide by 60 feet long. We vinyl wrapped the whole floor,
Wow.
making it to look like a giant rabbit hole coming to the bar in the middle. So things like that I obviously my mind spins sometimes. Like you give me an idea or a direction and I just obviously take it to like just a different level, or what I call raising the bar.
That's cool, man. That's very creative. I commend you. So perfect segue. Are there any particular values, approaches, experiences that you feel truly set you apart? And I think we've covered that already to a degree, but summarize it for me.
For me, it's always been customer service.
Customer service.
I am hands down customer service. There's so many vendors and so many companies out there that just say yes to so many events, but I'm more of like, you know, hey, if I have this client, I'm going to try to give them 100% rather than having 10 clients and giving them 10% of my client, 10% of my client. So I'm always a firm believer. Customer service has always been key in my company. And the reason why is because obviously at the end of the day, you know, it's what makes you or breaks you.
Absolutely.
Without customer service, without giving 100%, without giving your all to your events. That's why I was always a strong believer, coming back to that quote. It's not just an event, it's an experience, you know, because that's always starts from the phone call, from the person that, let's say email, phone call, however they contact you, that's always like day one. And I know there's so many, you know, community members, entrepreneurs out there. If you can't do that, then you're setting yourself up for failure. That's always been number one. And you're never going to win all of them. That's always 100%. But then now that goes into my next thing is obviously team members, team building, having a great team behind you. That's why I always say, I don't talk about just me. I talk about we. I don't know if you kind of catch me a couple of times. It's not, I'm just kind of like the face because I try to use my name as my company, but then it's actually a team behind me. And I can...
How big is the team?
So we're right now about 12 to 13 employees that I kind of pay full time.
Amazing.
And obviously it starts from Miko, my right hand.
Yeah.
This guy has been there since day one. And I told him like the day you leave our company, I'm buying you a house. I'm buying you everything you need to like, his family lives in North Carolina. And obviously like, I'll be like, hey, we're opening for production in North Carolina.
We're branching out, baby.
We're branching out. This is just, you know how Miami is. It's just so expensive. Everything is just god-awful. But so then from there, obviously I have my other two amazing assistants. I have Julie. That Julie's right now is like our almost person that answers our emails, phone calls. So she actually pretends that she's me sometimes, and she'll be on my computer in my text messages. Now I got a text message and she's like replying back to that. So I give hands to her because obviously without her,
amazing,
there's no Fuego. And then obviously there's Yessi and there's Alexandra. There's so many people in our company that, you know, do the customer relationship.
Yeah, they make it run, the heart of the company.
They make, and that's just the office people. And then you have Ruben. Ruben is like my right hand that regards to like the branding, the printing. We have a flatbed that we can obviously print like on acrylic, on like anything. Like for example, if you've ever been to like restaurants where you see like these big acrylic printout and stuff, we can do that stuff. Or like for example, we just did work with Madison Construction Group. Madison, they're demoliting like some construction site, so we were able to print on like the PVC boards to be like,
got it. Yeah.
So we do a lot of signage now, and that's where obviously I really want to see how we expand because I'm just dabbling in that.
Yeah,
now.
That's a massive business too.
Yeah, so now we go from obviously the production, the audio visual, into more of the personalized item stuff. And then from there, obviously, we have Jimmy, our carpenter. This guy's phenomenal. He builds he can build anything that you can desire his hands. Like this guy he's a welder, he's a CNC obviously fabricator. He works with wood shop, so he's really phenomenal. And then the rest of the team, like obviously like Mike, Tonio, like they're just like my audio visual person. They know how to do like the LED screen. So at the end of the day, it's not just me, it's my
so
team.
it's a whole team, man.
It's a whole team. Tonio, Danuski, Alex, everyone.
And you definitely dropped some gold here today, because you said it best, right? It starts with a great quality experience for your clients, from the first contact to the goodbye at the end of the night when they put out their event. And then it's all about people, right? About your team and about the people doing this with you.
It's a great team, because I have one person that just came in late into our company. He actually from another company, and his name is Chirino, I'll call him, for example. And this guy is like 65 years old. He's old, but he's like one of the best rapper and installers. He does like, obviously we're installing a mural for the community, the Miami-Dade County courthouse. And this client of ours, she's like, hey, look, I want to make a mural. And obviously our designer, she does a phenomenal job. And she was like, she brought her vision. We kind of scaled it together. But then his job is to kind of put it together. So everyone has a key point or a keystone in our company.
Right.
I'm obsessed. I'm really obsessed, because if it wasn't for our team, we won't be here talking today. So
yeah. So I love it. Tell me, there's got to be more. What drives? Because clearly you're very passionate about this. You just said it right now. You're obsessed. What is it? What's the key item bringing you to that obsession?
There's so many points I can tell you, but it's just waking up every morning and just kind of like being different or raising the bar. I can say it like that, just because there's so many vendors, there's so many DJs out there. How many DJs do you know?
Yeah, a lot.
And then you talk to me and you're like, you were a DJ and you're doing this now. So it's obviously, the word come innovation or, creativity. So I'm a firm believer, like I just like bringing challenges, bringing obviously dreams come into reality. That's like, for me, it's always, how do we going to do this? We're actually doing a big project now for a big foundation. And she was like, hey, I want a windmill. I'm like, okay, you want a windmill? I'll provide you the windmill. And ask him, do you want it to spin? And no problem. Like, yeah. So that's our next project. There's so many projects in my head that like, we just recently did one for like a book. It was for Urban League, big gala, how do they call it? And she was like, oh, I want a book. I'm like, whoa, what do you mean a book? She's like, I want the front of the stage to look like a book.
Wow.
Like, okay, no problem. So obviously my designer and Ruben and Jimmy, our carpenter, is like, okay, how can we do this? So we sat down for hours, like start drawing. That's how it kind of starts. I start drawing on paper. They're like, how can we do this? And they're obviously experience and creativity is just like, okay, we can do it like this. We can do it with bending wood for it can bend to look like that. I'm like, okay, how are we gonna make the sheets to pop out? And they're like, oh, we can make it to like layers. I'm like, oh, how are we gonna make it the gold? We went to Home Depot, found a gold paint, and we're like, we started,
That's so cool.
Things like that we can obviously tell the client to come to us, and she's like, okay, well, what do you want? And we can just make her vision come to life. So it's pretty cool how we've been able to do this stuff. So
tell me what's coming down the pipe for Fuego. What's coming in the next couple of years?
So there's a lot. There's one thing that I'm like really excited. I can actually say it. We're actually creating a brand new company. Obviously, almost like I call it DBA.
Okay.
We're gonna create called Fuego Designs.
Okay.
Fuego Designs are fabrication, and that kind of creates that what we're doing now, because this has been almost a 2-year project that we've been working on to see, like, as every entrepreneur, it's kind of scary. Like, okay, is this gonna work,
right,
or is this not gonna work? So people in this, our vendors or obviously entrepreneurs, are always scared to be like, to kind of like stepping, like, is this gonna work or is this not gonna work? And the reason why I say this is because I'm one of those obviously entrepreneurs that are like, I didn't know that this company 10 years ago was gonna be like, wow, like, bringing in almost $2 to $3 million through our revenue. It's like,
amazing.
It's crazy, who can say that?
Yeah.
Obviously there's a lot of expenses and
no, of course, man, but it's commendable, right? It's like seeing the fruit of your labor, seeing the starting doing college parties and like high school parties to like being here today. That's commendable.
It's crazy how, as a DJ, and then now obviously having multi-million-dollar, company, that we're able to, work with some great brands out there. So, Fuego Design is going to be one of those things. We're trying to go more into the, obviously, architect side, building and fabricating anything from homes to obviously like fabricating kitchens and stuff like that. That's what we're trying to. Jimmy is really, really talented. So we're trying to build a team on that and then try to, hit more of the corporate. We obviously, you've been seeing me a lot now with Chamber South. So we've been working a lot with the Children's Trust Program, with the Armstrong Consulting Group. So they kind of gave us an opportunity about 2 years ago to start working audio and visual with the Chamber South. So we obviously got into Mosaic Miami. It's another foundation of group that they work a lot with kids, giving back to the kids. And I'm a firm believer. And then obviously I met Rick from Chamber South, and he's like, hey, look, we have this. We're trying to give back to the community. I'm like, oh man, like I really want to get into this, because this is for me. I don't even have an activated website. Everything for me has been always
organic,
word of mouth.
Wow.
And networking. And obviously I was never a firm believer back in the days until I see now, I was like, wow, like just by talking to people and communicating with people and showing what I do, you never know what door might open.
Absolutely true.
So I really, really want to get into obviously the audiovisual to doing for like galas or corporate events or foundations and stuff. So, and then hopefully put both together to do the fabrication, to do obviously the activation, the build outs. So that's for Fuego Designs or fabrications. So we're still going to have Fuego Productions, audiovisual, and then Fuego Designs be doing all the fabrication work and stuff. So that's one of our, hopefully,
a lot of exciting stuff coming up,
man. It's exciting. It's growing. We got our second warehouse, so we're growing. We started from a little storage, one of those extra space storage, to having a warehouse and having overhead, and that was like,
incredible.
It's scary, having overhead and bills and electricity bills. It's pretty scary, and then obviously payroll. But it's been going well. We've been growing tremendously and super excited for all that.
Yeah, man. And with your energy, I have no doubts that the future looks bright for you.
Thank you so much.
Obviously, you have no website, but how do people find you?
So we have Instagram. We're a firm believer with social media. Social media. If you don't have an Instagram and you don't promote yourself through that, you're failing as a company. And I'm a firm believer. Like now, we were able to, just through Instagram, do a big celebrity wedding. Just like that.
Amazing.
They were able to connect. Like, hey, look, I've seen you guys do dope stuff. Like, we want to bring your experience into this wedding.
Great.
Obviously, we signed an NDA, but
I love it.
But we were able to do that stuff, and hopefully, grow from there. There's like people like in this industry, like Jenny Seville, and obviously some top celebrities out there that you can do events with, and it's very important, like just, marketing yourself and showing yes, a website is great, but obviously I've had terrible luck with our designer and the person who was building our website. She was obviously from another country and she was great at the time. She was phenomenal. Not to like say bad things about her, but they kind of like flag our website and stuff. So it's actually shut. That was the problem. It's not from you.
No, but you're absolutely right. Listen, why work on SEO, especially on an AI world, when you could just showcase what you actually do on video for the whole world to see?
It's
completely agree with you.
It's 100%. And now with content creators, if people that are, what you guys are doing now, this is like, wow, like this is very important because this is the only way for me. It's more natural and more realistic of the person that you are. And like people don't know who Fuego Production is or who Fuego is, and people get to really connect with you. That's, for me, it's like gold. If you can connect with people and obviously interact with them and talk to them, they're going to be like, wow, like you are a real human being. I want to work with you. Yeah. And from their collaboration, that's why I love about Chamber South. It's just, I haven't got to really myself 100%. We talked about this before. But it's just like the stepping stones to really connecting with people. I've met a couple of amazing people. I've heard their story and it's like, wow, like this is the next stepping stone of obviously where Fuego Productions and Fuego Designs wants to go. So,
love it. Well, it's been great having you here today, hearing your story. I think, like I said, the future is bright and I'm excited to see what happens with it. And I'll be watching from inside of Chamber South.
Thank you so much. Super excited.
Appreciate you, Mario, for all of our members, I hope you found this interview very insightful, taking a peek inside of Fuego Productions. Listen, if you have any needs coming up, whether that's for an event, a wedding, a high school party, you know who to call. I hope you reach out to Mario. He's part of our community, and that's what we do here at Chamber South. We support our community members, and we help each other grow. So again, anything audiovisual, DJ, or fabrication, he will be more than happy to facilitate it. Excited again to have this conversation. I'll see you guys then.